Welcome back to Restaurant Review. I'm your host, Bob Bockelman, continuing in our role, and we appreciate you coming back. Once again, we've got a great new restaurant for you and his chef, chef owner, as well as a great new musical talent. For those who don't know, that's our forte, is to bring to you certainly New Orleans' finest and neighboring communities' finest restaurants and musical guests, but we like to put the emphasis on the new first. During the holidays or something, we'll bring you back an established restaurant, or if they change their menu or change their chef, we'll always bring them on, and we'll bring those well-known musical talents to you when we bring those well-known restaurants. But we want you out there because we produce so many new restaurants here in our city, and we want you out trying all and about. And in a few weeks, in fact, the next few weeks, we'll be visiting the North Shore. Got some great restaurants coming up. Patton's, a wonderful new restaurant, and a little further down the road, Gamay Bistro, which has been around but has a new chef, so look for that. I want to tell you again if you'd like to be on the show, or you'd like to recommend a band or a restaurant that you want to see featured on the show, you can write in on our website. That's restrevue.com, RESTREVUE, and do info@restrevue for the email. Anything you'd like to do. If you'd like to be a guest in studio, we have a few in our audience today. We always love to have the folks here. Anything you want, let us know. We feature new talent, even artisans who do some sculptor work or hanging work. We'll be glad to give them credit and feature them on the show. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and bring you our musical talent. So if our camera will follow me over, we're going to go ahead and meet. And our star today is from our neighboring city, our capital, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, an old red stick. And our guest today, let's see if I can get in here. A lot of technical difficulty today. There we go. Let's see. There we go. There's a big old belly. Okay. Today's guest, as I mentioned, is from Baton Rouge, which we won't hold against him. He visits here enough and performs here enough. His name is Eric DeSanto. Welcome, Eric.
How you doing, Bob?
Great. Tell us a little bit about yourself and about your music.
I'm originally from Philadelphia, and I moved down here about...
Bad sign already.
I know. I'm a Yankee.
Going away instead of coming close.
I'm a Yankee. I moved down here about 5 years ago. Same old story. I met a woman and decided to follow her to the south.
Okay. Sometimes that's bad, but go ahead.
I've been playing music now for about 10 years.
Okay. Not since the womb. Most people get it right out the womb, but go ahead. You're a little late developer.
Yeah, I'm a little late developer.
Okay. And what do you call your style if you have such a category?
I think you'd have to call it singer-songwriter type. I do a lot of acoustic stuff, a lot of blues, just fingerstyle.
Of course, he writes, just like all of our musicians, write all their own music.
Yes,
we do all original music on this show. You don't have a CD out or anything?
No, I don't. I probably won't have one out until the beginning of the new year.
Well, when he does, we'll feature it. If he sends us a copy, we'll show it to you all and let you know where you can get it. But he does feature locally down here in New Orleans, and I know I've seen him at the Neutral Ground. Do you have anything coming up there?
Yes, on August 10th, I will be back there.
August
at the
10th and
at 9
particular
p.m.
time?
9 p.m.
9 p.m. That's not too late. What night
It's Saturday night.
Saturday night, date night. Well, I'm telling you,
so
check
bring
him
your
out.
dates.
I think,
Bring your dates. I'll play a love song.
Okay, unfortunately, with all that banter, I've forgotten the name of your first song, so I'm going to have to ask
This first song is called Can't Sleep.
Can't Sleep. Take it away.
Well, it's gonna be a hot one today. It's 83 degrees at 5 a.m. I'm sitting on my front porch, waiting for the sun to rise. Well, there's so much I need to do today, but ain't none of it getting done. I'm gonna take my guitar down to the ocean and drown my sorrows away, 'cause I can't sleep. I got too much on my mind. Can't sleep. Got too much in my head. Well, my baby, she wrote me a letter, said she ain't coming home. She grown tired of my loving, and now she gone, and I can't sleep. I got too much on my mind, can't sleep. Got too much in my head. Well, I don't understand it. I gave her everything she wanted, but she's still gone and found somebody new. It's got me up all night, it's got me pacing the floor. Can't stand this feeling, I ain't sleeping no more. No, no, can't sleep. Can't sleep. I got too much on my mind. Can't sleep. I can't sleep. Got too much in my head.
Very, very nice. Thank you, Eric. It's Eric DeSanto from our capital, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So we'll have him back for a couple more songs before the end of the show, and I'm sure you'll be delighted. It's kind of an upbeat, even though Eric can't sleep, we certainly can, and especially if you try this great new restaurant. The restaurant we have today, you can catch that on the monitor. I'm not sure you can. It's a little fake. The name of the restaurant is Danielle's. Danielle's is named after the executive chef and owner, Danielle TOBAR. And we're happy to have him here. Welcome to the show, Danielle. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you very much.
Great.
It's a pleasure being here.
Danielle's opened his restaurant about a year ago in February. It's in our neighboring parish, Metairie. It's in what we consider somewhat old Metairie on Veterans Boulevard, a prime location. Been in a little place. It's a neat little hideaway. It's kind of funky, eclectic. You can tell by some of the surroundings here. You'll see some of the interior shots of the restaurant as we talk today. But at the same time, even though he's got that upbeat, eclectic feeling, he's really gone to his roots. And he's got a combination of a Latin and an Italian restaurant. So it's got some of the basics that you know about and some of the Latin things that we're hoping you'll find noteworthy. Tell us a little bit, Daniel, about your background so the folks will know what you've been doing for us before you came here.
Well, when I came here, it was in '79. I immigrated from South America, Ecuador, and I started working for an Italian family for many years till I was 21. Okay. Then after I traveled to Europe and did an apprenticeship in Germany with a friend of mine's restaurant. He's got a Spanish restaurant. He played flamenco, and then we cook, and I did an apprenticeship. I came back and went to work for the Ritz-Carlton's hotel, and I worked for Victor's, which I learned a lot, but I did the front of the house, and I learned about cheeses and just all the everything.
Right, but I think you worked at a couple of other local restaurants here, didn't you, as well? Didn't you?
Yes, I have. Yes, I worked at the Meridian Hotel. It was
Meridian is a fine, fabulous French hotel and restaurant that's been here in the city. Lovely restaurant. It had Meridian, the Meridian.
Yes, it was La Meridian. The restaurant is called Henri.
Henri.
It was a 5-star.
Closed now, folks, but it was really a 4-star restaurant.
Actually, it's 5-star, 5 being for 5
okay.
diamond. Yeah, it was one of the only restaurants in the city besides the grill room when the Queen Elizabeth used to own the hotel, the Winsome Court.
Right.
And I did some training there, and then also too, my dad was a chef in South America, and then I really inspired of cooking Italian and Spanish cuisine, Latin America, and Spanish food from Spain.
Right, right. True Spanish food.
Yes.
Okay, well, great. Now, what we want to do is, and your restaurant is open for lunch and dinner. Now, they're dark on Sundays, and they're open for lunch only on Tuesdays through Fridays, folks, just through the weekdays. Monday, they're closed, as we mentioned. But dinner, they're open from Monday through Saturday night. And because of the size, how many do you seat? I know it's a small restaurant.
Maximum is 35 people.
Yeah.
You get to bring your own wine, though.
Well, we can talk about that in a second. Don't jump the gun there. But the important thing here is that it is small, so you need to. Do you take reservations at all?
Yes, reservations recommended.
I would hardly recommend it, especially for the weekend folks, because as you know, Friday night and Saturday night is big restaurant night here in our city, as well as weeknights. But because of the size of this restaurant, I would hardly encourage you to give them reservations because it is small and you're gonna love it. It's really a two-room dining room. He's got a little sun porch out there, which, like I say, you might be seeing in the background, and he's got a major dining room, of which is also the reception area. So I want you to give it a try, and we want to talk about start talking about some of the appetizers, but we want to start with the soups. He really has a great soup. He has basically no particular soup that he serves, I don't believe, except for bouillabaisse, which we'll talk about in a moment. But he does a daily soup every day. And I know I've had, let's talk about some of those. I've had a couple of them. They've been excellent so far.
Yes, I use a combination of soups daily. We have roasted garlic and tomato herb soup. We have vegetarian soup, tortilla soup, and shrimp bisque, and just a variety of everything.
Okay. Well, we need to talk a little bit more about some of those soups. So you said you had a roasted garlic, and what was in it besides roasted garlic?
It's a roasted garlic, tomato, sweet basil, and it's cooked for about 4 hours, and then I put a little white wine.
Oh, so it's the garlic and tomato basil together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I thought it was two different soups you were talking about. But then you had another one. What other one? I know you've had a couple other soups in that.
Yeah, we have a vegetable soup. We have a shrimp bisque.
Okay, let's talk about each one, please. Mm-hmm. A little time on each one because we're going to quickly.
Vegetable soup.
So the people can know what's in it. The vegetable is a typical vegetable soup.
Yes, it's an assortment. It's garden vegetables like zucchini, squash, mushrooms, roasted garlic, and it's made with a vegetable broth. And I put some fresh basil on top and garnish it with some paprika and herbs.
Okay. And any other soup that you really are proud of?
I have one that really takes a while. It's called caldo de bolas de verde. It's a plantain soup.
Plantain soup.
Yes.
Boy,
what we do is we puree some fresh bananas, and then we stuff it with roasted pork, onions, olives, and raisins, and then we make a soup out of that. We use beef and chicken stock.
Okay, combination broth. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, that sounds great. Well, we're going to have to learn. What do you call that again?
It's actually it's a Spanish name. I
know, but go ahead and let's see if I can translate it now.
Sopa de bolas de verde.
Sopa de bola de verde. Well, bola de verde is a green ball.
Yes,
and that's because of the plantains being
right.
Green plantains. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure you can remember plantains, and people know more and more are knowing about plantains if they've eaten any Spanish food at all. So if you can remember the green plantain or just the plantain soup, if you can't say it in Spanish, I think it'd be worthwhile trying. I know next time now I know what to order in the soups. I've had the others, but that sounds great. Okay, now let's go on to some of the appetizers that you have in the restaurant. I know one, and I'm going to jump forward with this one because it's not on the menu, folks, and I don't know if he has it all the time, but I think it's something that is getting much more play nowadays. Years ago, cheese was a tremendous, certainly in Europe, it always has maintained its importance. But more and more of a comeback here in the city. Some of the really fancy hotels are featuring cheese plates, and some of the other restaurants are starting to put cheese out either as an appetizer or in between some of the courses. And here he has a tremendous little appetizer called his cheese plate. I had one the other night, beautifully served on a marble slab. And let's go over those cheeses that you used a little bit, please. I don't want to do all the talking, so let's talk about it, and I'll enhance anything we need.
Okay, the cheeses, the reason I'm doing that is because when I first started working at Victor's at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, there's on between courses we do cheese course, and the cheese board that I have, I do an assortment of Danish blue cheese, a double cream brie, some herb goat cheese, and a feta served with toast points and garnish it.
Okay. But let's talk about the cheese. I know you had 3 different cheeses on mine, and I'm going to go ahead and give away the pièce de résistance. At the end of the cheese board was this beautiful half-sliced avocado. Oh, it was tremendous. And in between, laced between each of the cheeses, were toasted French or garlic breads, beautifully cut on the oblique to kind of add to the cheeses. But I know I had one was a feta, but it had, what did you have on the feta?
Feta pesto, basil pesto.
Pesto on the covering on the top, tremendous. Then you had like a cream something.
We have goat cheese. With the feta, we have Danish blue cheese.
Danish blue.
And we have also have a brie, double cream brie.
Double cream brie. That was the other
brie.
one, folks. I had the Stilton of the blue in the center, but the double cream brie. So it really had a great variety with regard to the range of the flavors. A very strong blue, which of course you know, which I really love. The feta with the pesto, giving it a little bit more of the Italian flavor. And then the double cream brie. You're going to love this because it's almost a dessert. It's not super sweet, but it's very, very, very light of cheese. But again, the idea of the toasted baguettes, loaves, and the avocado, this makes a great appetite. Not only for, really it makes a meal if it's only one, but a pig like myself, I can really do it. But for the table, it's a beautiful presentation and something that really can go far for the people and impress the diners that you're with. So I think I would heartily recommend that you try the cheese plate whenever you have a chance, and hopefully you'll be able to have that as a regular. Let's talk about now some of the other regular ones that you want to feature. I know you want to talk about your grilled calamari.
Yes. The grilled calamari is flash grilled calamari. A lot of people think that once you have grilled calamari, it's going to be rubbery and tough. What we do, we marinate it with an assortment of seasoning and herbs, and then flash grill it. You see the marks on the calamari. You feel you taste the flavor and the texture, and it's real nice and tender. And you can have that with toast points. I drizzle a little bit of roasted extra virgin olive oil, to have it nice and moist.
Okay. Sounds good. I didn't get a chance to try that one, folks, but I did try a couple of the others. Now, I know you wanted to try, I think I had the sauteed mushrooms for the vegetarian. Now, we have a vegetarian caller. Hopefully she'll call today. I'm going to hold that one in abeyance. But you do have a lot of vegetarian dishes, so that's going to make it great. Let's talk. I think you wanted to talk, was it about your crab cake or your mussels that you wanted to also?
The crab cakes I would like to talk about.
Sure.
It's a very light crab cake. There's not a lot of bread, and I use lump crab meat, so you're able to see the crab meat mix in there. It's not just like raw breadcrumb. And then I saute it with extra virgin olive oil and put it on the bed of romaine lettuce and drizzle some extra roasted garlic aioli on top. It's nice, nice combination.
Now, is it served warm or
it's served warm. Yeah. It's served warm. It's what we do. We pan roasted.
Okay.
And so it's served hot.
Right.
And then the lettuce are
of course, the cool lettuce. That's
cool lettuce, and then we drizzle a little garlic oil on top and garnish it with a fresh rosemary or some fresh paprika.
That sounds great, folks.
Real
because
good.
Well, one thing I love salads when it's the hot and cold mixture, and even though we're not talking about a salad here, this is almost like a mini salad. So, of course, the fresh lump crab meat, you couldn't have anything more delicate than that on the greens, and then having that great, great light dressing. So I think something we need to try. And before we do anything further, let's go ahead and see if we have, we've done appetizers and soups. Let's talk a little bit about your salads, because I know you have a nice selection of salads. And then we'll focus a little bit on some of your luncheon entrees that aren't on at nighttime, and then of course then we'll go straight through the dinner menu. What are some of your salads that you want to talk about?
The salads that I really want to talk about, we have a nice crispy Greek salad, which is crispy romaine lettuce topped with sweet red onions, some Greek black olives, nice feta cheese, and a Greek dressing. And the Greek dressing is made with balsamic vinegar, extra virgin olive oil, combination of peppers, Reggiano cheese, and fresh herbs. And that's aged for about 2 weeks, and then we drizzle that on top of the Greek salad. It's very nice. The salad comes out very crispy, and the seasoning that's on it, the vinaigrette is wonderful. I also like to talk about my Caesar salad. I have an eggless Caesar salad.
Eggless?
Yes.
That's unusual.
Yes, I don't use eggs. Some people are aware for their cholesterol or the heart healthy things. So I just use Dijon mustard, extra virgin olive oil, roasted garlic, and Reggiano cheese, which is an aged Parmesan, and toss that with homemade smoked with croutons and drizzle some Reggiano cheese at the end. So it's a nice combination. You have the Greek and then the Caesar. And I have one more salad too. We have an avocado salad. We have some nice yellow ripe avocados, and it's I'll put it on top of romaine lettuce, red onions, fresh tomatoes, and a 3-pepper vinaigrette. It's nice. You get the combination of the crispy lettuce and the nice soft ripe texture of the avocado. I think that's, if you love
that
avocado.
would be great. Yeah, as I told you, with the cheese appetizer, the avocado was phenomenal with just the dressing on it. So I can imagine making a whole salad, especially with the onions, ought to be delicious. So if you don't try the cheese, or if you like avocados, I think that would certainly be it. But you also, I don't think I heard you talk about one of my favorites, and that's tomato and feta cheese with onions. Let's talk about that one a little bit, please.
Yes, that's nice if you want to have just a small salad or nice and crispy cold Roman tomatoes. It's been sliced and marinated with the balsamic vinaigrette. And then what we do like a semi-Napoleon, which is a tomato, nice aged feta cheese, tomato and feta cheese again. And then we put the balsamic vinaigrette on top, garnish it with some sweet red onions and a rib of fresh rosemary. That's a nice small salad if you just want to have a little tomato and cheese combination. And
right. Well, I had forgotten to tell folks in the beginning of the show that, of course, we always take calls, and that helps improve. And we do have a call on the line. In case you haven't seen, we didn't. I don't know if we flashed up the signs of the numbers, but our number here is 483-3336, 483-3338. But yes, welcome. And then this is our friend Grace, I believe, our vegetarian, and we've been talking about some vegetarian dishes.
Hello.
Yeah, Grace? Can you hear us, Grace? Oh, goodness. We got a little technical difficulty? Well, all right. We'll come back to Grace. As I was mentioning, Daniel, hopefully we can get that fixed because Grace is a loyal viewer and she calls our show all. She's a staunch vegetarian and she really brings out those dishes. And your restaurant really has a lot to offer with regard to the vegetarian, whether it be the true vegan or the just the person who prefers vegetables, which is what I like to do. So if we get that resolved, we'll get back to Grace, and hopefully we can see what kind of questions she has about it. But let's go ahead and move on then, and we want to talk about, well, we've talked about the salad. Now the salads we've talked about, those are available lunch and dinner, is that right?
Yes, they are available lunch and dinner. Okay.
But now let's talk about a few of the items that are exclusive to the luncheon menu. I know you have some sandwiches.
Yes, I do.
And which sandwiches would you recommend?
I would recommend for vegetarian. Recommend the vegetarian sandwiches. It doesn't have any no fat, no lard. It's just a crispy French bread, and then we put slices of fresh avocado, aged feta cheese.
Excuse me, Daniel. We do have our caller back.
Okay.
I mean, but it's going to be pertinent because she is a vegetarian. Grace, are you there?
Hello.
Hello, Grace. Do you hear us? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, we hear you, Grace.
Hello?
Okay. Still can't hear. I mean, we can hear Grace, but I don't think she can hear us. Okay, I'm sorry, Daniel. Let's try one more time. Hopefully 3 strikes will make it better instead of putting us out of business. Let's go back a little slower over that vegetarian sandwich because that's important to Grace and, of course, any of our listeners who would like. Today, a vegetarian sandwich is usually just like eating a meaty dish because it gets so healthy and so meaty in the flavors. Let's go. What exactly do you put in your? What type of bread are you using?
It's a crispy French bread.
Okay.
It's nice and light and toasty. And what I do, I put the fresh ripe avocado, romaine lettuce, red onions, tomatoes, feta cheese, and a drizzle of 3-pepper vinaigrette. And none of these ingredients have any eggs or any lard or anything. So for a true vegetarian, it'll be a dish to order.
Hey, do you serve that again warm or is that chilled, room temperature?
Well, all the bread is nice and toasted and warm, but the inside is chilled. And then we drizzle the roasted garlic, the 3-pepper vinaigrette. Then we put it on a plate. It's good size, and then garnish it.
Okay, hopefully 3 times is the correct time and not a strikeout. We understand. We're going to try one more time. Grace, are you there?
Yes, I can't hear you at all. We were disconnected again. But I was calling about the vegetarian dishes. I hope you can hear me, and I hope you talk about the vegetarian dishes. I heard the tomato and cheese, and that sounds scrumptious. But whatever else he has to talk about in vegetarian, I sure would like to hear it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry you can't hear us back. That's just one of the audio problems we're having today. But again, we just went over a tremendous, besides that great salad that you were nice enough to reiterate, we just went over a tremendous vegetarian sandwich. And I know you're a big fan of those, especially, now this one doesn't have those portobellos that you like that have that meaty taste, but at the same time, I think the true vegan or whatever, however it's pronounced, would really like this one as well as anyone who prefers vegetables. Now, when we get to some of the entrees, Grace, like the paella and stuff like that, and other dishes, we might be able to accommodate you as well. But we want to go ahead and finish the luncheon sandwiches. What other ones? How many sandwiches do you have?
We have 4 luncheon sandwiches. We have the vegetarian sandwich. We also have the roasted pork that's been roasted for 6 hours, marinated, and then dressed with romaine lettuce, red onions, tomatoes, and dressing. Grilled breasted chicken, and the breasted chicken is not dry. It's nice and moist, and it's got a lot of char flavor. Too, and I have a marinated grilled shrimp sandwich as well.
All right, let's take that a little, if we can. I'm sorry to interrupt, but let's take it a little slow because, again, you're connecting some of the things, not spacing. So first of all, we want to talk about the roasted pork. Now, folks, for those who follow Latin food, you know roasted pork, if it's done properly, is one of the key ingredients of many dishes. He has it in a sandwich, and we're probably going to talk about it in more detail as an entree. But he's doing a roasted pork sandwich, again, on the toasted French, is that right?
Toasted French bread, then we put romaine lettuce, red onions, tomatoes, roasted garlic aioli, and then the roasted pork. And the French bread is nice and crispy.
Right.
Very tasty.
Okay, and then you also were talking about a chicken. Not only ladies, but everybody knows chicken. We want you to tell us what's different about your chicken. We don't want that basic old chicken that everybody else does. What do you do with the chicken?
With the chicken, I take a nice bone meat, breasted chicken that's been marinated, then I put it on the grill and I don't overcook it. A good breasted chicken cooked perfectly, it should be moist and nice, cooked all the way through but moist, not dry, and you want to taste the poultry flavor, and then you season it. And my marinated and the way that I cook it, that's what makes it some different and very different than other restaurants that don't know what
Right.
What
your
temperature
basic
to cook
chicken,
the
right?
chicken.
All right, so let's see. You said 4, but if I count it right, it's only 3. The vegetarian, the pork, the chicken. What's that 4th one?
We have the marinated grilled shrimp sandwich.
Ah, so you do a little seafood. Great.
Yes,
See, because
we
we got a lot of seafood dishes in the entrees, but I think it's important for the sandwich buff too. How do you do the shrimp?
Once again, the shrimp is marinated, and then it's on toasted French.
Okay.
And then we put a 3-pepper vinaigrette with romaine lettuce and red Roman tomatoes.
Now the shrimp is grilled or what?
Yes, they're grilled.
They're grilled. Okay,
Grilled
excellent.
But I don't put mayonnaise. It's up to request, but usually I like to use more vinaigrettes and stay away from
Of course.
the mayo.
And I know a lot of the ladies and everyone's getting more heart healthy. So that's going to be something that's going to be up to your taste, as he said. Once again, our restaurants are always interested in what their diners want, not just what the chef desires. The chef designs it, but at the same time, he has no problem with altering it to your taste or to your diet structure. So anything along those lines would be good. Now let's go ahead, and we want to start into the dinner entrees, and talk about some of the great sides you have, and then we're going to have to get back to our musical guests. But let's start. I know I've tried about 5 of the entrees, and he does a lot of one thing we didn't talk about at lunch, and I forgot that, is that before we do he also, so you have salads we talked about, of course, your appetizers, night or day, the soups, salads, sandwiches. But for those who don't like a sandwich and like a plate dinner every day, you do have a varying plate every day. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Tell us about a few of your more popular ones, because I know that's what I go for. And when we're there Friday, my diner beat me to the one you had. And don't talk about that one yet, right, Dan, because that's one of your entrees. Talk about some of the others that you've been doing since you've opened the restaurant.
Since I do the seco de pollo, which is a traditional dish from Ecuador.
Okay.
It's actually seca is a word in Quechua.
It means dry. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's dry. It's dry, but it's the way that it's cooked. This dish comes from the Incas in South America.
Wonderful tradition.
And then what they spoke is Quechua, and the seca de pollo is a dish which is
So let's
chicken.
let's really explain this one, because whenever we have a historical dish, we like to go into some explanation, because this is what lures the people to try it. If not, they're just going to go on to something they recognize. So since this is an unusual but has such tradition, let's really focus on this and tell us what is the preparation on this particular dish.
What we take, it's usually in South America what they do it with the whole chicken. But what I did, I'm doing it with the breasted chicken, because a lot of people don't want to deal with bones and that. So what we do, we take a nice plummy breasted chicken. I take some extra virgin olive oil, saute some Vidalian onions, red peppers, green peppers, roasted garlic. I put my breasted chicken on there, cut into strips, fresh lemon juice, cilantro, a little bit chicken stock.
Ah, there's the flavor. Go ahead.
Cilantro, a little chicken stock, lemon juice, and some Peruvian chile. So it's chile de Peru.
Well, I don't know how they can call that dry chicken with all the juices of the citrus juices and the flavor, the moist flavor of cilantro. There's nothing dry about that chicken. So don't be lured into the idea, well, that's dry old chicken breast that we serve at the other places. Just the opposite. That sounds great. Give me a couple of others, or at least one other signature entree. Not that you have on at night. Is there anyone else that you would do at lunch that you don't do it in the evening?
Yes, we do have specials daily. I changed all my soups, the appetizers. I have daily appetizers and entree. Do you want to talk about the?
But what I was saying on the soup, on the plate, special plate today, do you do any entree plates that aren't things that you serve in the evening, or is it all the same? One from the evening menu.
It's no, it's I serve everything that's on the menu on a daily basis, and then I change my specials. Or like my entrees.
Okay. But like we talked about seco de pollo, which is on your menu for a dinner entree.
Right.
Do you have any specials that are not listed in your dinner entree menu that you serve as a plate dinner special?
Yes, we do.
Could you give me one or two examples of that?
Yes, we do have the lamb loin chops.
Lamb loin chops.
Yes.
That's a tongue twister.
Yeah.
How do we do with the lamb loin?
So what we do, we marinate the lamb. And then after we grill it, I usually cook it medium rare so it's nice and tender. Serve it with roasted garlic potatoes and grilled vegetables. Another dish that I have also too, we have the mussels portofino, which the mussels portofinos are New Zealand green lip mussels. They've been pan roasted with extra virgin Vidalian onions, flambéed with white wine, plum tomatoes, and rosemary, and served over angel hair pasta.
Okay. Well, those sound great, and you see that's what I'm saying. We can get some. Sometimes people want something that's not on the dinner menu, and so I know you do some, and you alternate between those. So those two sound great. Now let's go ahead and move to the dinner entree because we want to get a handle on it before our musical guest comes back on in a few minutes. As I was mentioning, one of the dishes that is an entree, and of course my favorite dish everywhere, even though we don't have a lot of restaurants doing it, but you also can serve it as a soup, is actually a soup, and that's your bouillabaisse. When you talk about bouillabaisse is like French gumbo. Let's talk about it, but a completely different, much more pristine soup than a lot of the other dishes that we're talking about.
It could be like a gumbo, but this dish we don't use Revue. It's very clear. It's a white wine, saffron, and seafood broth. What we put is we put fish, and then I use a variety of fish like mahi-mahi, amberjack, snapper, striped bass. I use mussels, jumbo shrimp, and calamari, and everything is cooked to perfection. It's nice and tender, not overcooked, and it's usually flambéed with white wine and served with toast points. It's nice.
Very nice, very nice, and I'm telling you, very light. And that's what's key about bouillabaisse. It's a great soup for the summer or the winter because it's warm, but it's very light and citrusy, and so it feels like you're eating something, but you're not, really filling up on it, even though you are. But it's a great selection of fish and seafood, something I always try at all of our restaurants. Now, I want to also talk about, I know you're proud of your shrimp jacqueline, so staying on the seafood before we get to the meat and poultry. How do you do your shrimp jacqueline?
The shrimp jacqueline, I would say this is a tribute to a very good friend of mine that she passed away, and actually what we do into this dish is fresh cooked linguine. We take a pan, we pan roast some Vidalian onions, some garlic, crushed red peppers, fresh oregano, Italian parsley, and saute that to perfection. And then we add some flambe with white wine and add a little bit of seafood stock. And when we do the seafood stock, with all the peels from the shrimp and my fish, I'll make a nice seafood stock, and I have that to add a little more moist to the dish, and it's very, very nice.
Great. Sounds great. I had the bouillabaisse and the shrimp jacqueline, folks, and the first night I went in was really excellent. But now we need to go on to the other side, and as we mentioned, we talked about one of the sandwiches. Well, I had it as an entree, I think. As I tell you, I didn't have it as an entree. It was featured as the special of the day, Friday, I believe, and my diner went ahead and beat me to the punch, and I never like to order the same thing as someone else, but I did let him asked me to let me try a little bit of the meat, and that is the roasted pork. We set it as a sandwich. Let's go over it again in a little more detail here at the entree, because this is truly a Latin dish that is really a wonderful, wonderful meat dish.
Yes, it is. What we do is the pork, we marinate it with some lemon juice, fresh garlic, cumin, and I put a little bit of a pork stock, roasted in the oven for about 6 hours, so it's very nice and tender and moist. If we usually in South America, we serve this dish with rice, but I've taken a little combination of the Italian, Spanish, Italian, so I'll serve it with roasted garlic potatoes and grilled vegetables. It's very tender and tasty.
Great, great. Now I know for the steak, and we're not going to go over this, but I know you have a steak, and you say it's good. It's not just for those that don't like anything else, so we're going to trust you on that. But really a truly Italian dish, and this is one I'm going to certainly try next time I come, is your ossobuco. Tell us about how you got into the ossobuco and what are you doing for it?
I tried ossobuco all over places, and then people cook it differently.
They still do.
Differently. Somebody make lamb, veal, beef. I like the veal shank. What we do to this dish, the ossobuco, we take a 14-ounce of veal shank and then braise it with some red wine, garlic, fresh plum tomatoes, celery, and garlic and garden vegetables, and cook it again for about 6 hours and braise it all day. And then this dish is nice, the marrow in the middle, and nice. The meat is tender, comes off the bone. You can eat it with a spoon. And I serve with the angel hair pasta. So it's a nice Italian dish, and one of the classic ones.
Yes, it is, and truly good. So I'm anxious to try that. Now, I know we have a bunch of others. I know you do a different fish, depending on what fish is available. I know you do fish dish. But what about, and we've talked about chicken again, but I know in some respect you've gotten to be known for your rotisserie chicken. I mean, this got popular a few years back, and it's still good. So let's talk a little bit about your rotisserie chicken before we move into your sides.
Well, the rotisserie chicken that we have, it's slowly marinated for 12 hours and then slowly roasted. So it is spicy, and it's spicy. I serve a half with vegetables and potatoes, and I drizzle olive oil on top to give it a nice olive taste. But it is a spicy dish. I recommend it for the people who like spicy food.
Spicy food. Well, that's a lot of New Orleanians, so that's why I wanted to bring it out. So it's not Popeyes, it's not that fried chicken, but it's a great herbed, seasoned, grilled or roasted, slow roasted chicken. So I think for those who've tried some of it in the city, there's a few other places that have done a good job with it, but I think for those who remember it, they will really like it and really need to try it. So we want to talk a little bit about the sides, and then we're going to go ahead and let Eric try it. I know you have 4 sides: black beans, which is traditional Spanish, and I don't know, I have to admit, I haven't tried your black beans. How do you serve it as a side dish?
I said I usually have also a special that we do, a Cuban steak, which is pan roasted, either a ribeye steak, T-bone, or what's in the market out there. Or I do a pan roasted with garlic, lemon juice, cumin, and serve with yellow rice and black beans.
Ah, okay. Well, your saffron rice I did have as a side dish, and I know you had a great garlic potatoes, huh? Garlic roasted potatoes?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you have a great. So now some of those are served with some of the entrees as well, or no?
The garlic potatoes, yes. Mainly on the entrees, on the steak. Like this week I have a 1-inch thick ribeye steaks. Last week I had T-bones, and some occasion I have filet mignon. And we serve with roasted garlic potatoes and steamed vegetables with all my steaks, the fish, and some of the other specials that we have.
Great. Okay, folks. Well, look, it's about time. This is really an extensive menu. The menu is larger than the place. I'm telling you, it's really great. But we're trying to get to you as many ideas and variety that you can, so that way you can get in there and try it. Again, we're talking to Daniel TOBAR of Daniel's Restaurant in Old Metairie, right on Veterans. Great place to try for lunch and dinner. Now we're going to go ahead and move it over, and remember, if you remember from our first song, we have a guest from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Eric DeSanto. Eric, what are you going to do for our second song here this evening?
Oh, we got 15 minutes to talk, so you got to really...
This is a song I wrote called Gonna Float Away. going down to the river. I'm gonna jump in. I'm going down to the river. I'm jumping in. Gonna float away. Gonna float away from here. Say my troubles found me now. I've got to go and float away from here. I don't know how far I'll get, which way I'll go. I don't know how far I'll get, baby, I don't know which way I'm gonna go. I'm gonna float away from here. Say my troubles found me now. I've got to go and get away from here. Leaving everybody, leaving everything. Travel light in case I got to go and do it again. Gonna float away, gonna float away from here. Say my troubles found me now. I've got to go and get away from here. Tell my mama that I'm okay. Tell my mama the devil's got me on my way. Gonna float away, gonna float away from here. Say my troubles found me now. I've got to go and get away from here. Say my troubles found me now. I've got to go and get away from here. Thank you.
You got a great upbeat sound, great voice, but first you couldn't sleep. Now you're jumping in the river. But the important thing, I know why, because you live in Baton Rouge and you want to float down here to New Orleans to come and eat the finest food in the state. That could be the only reason. And I hope that will be the final justification when you come back to us at the end of the show. But regardless of that commentary, folks, is a dynamite young performer. Really enjoying it and hoping you're enjoying it as well. All right, once again, we want to go back to our guest, our distinguished guest. We have Daniel TOBAR of Daniel's Restaurant, opened just barely a year, a little bit over a year, excuse me, in Metairie, Old Metairie on Veterans Boulevard for lunch and dinner, a combination of Spanish and Latin food. He's been detailing some really excellent dishes. You know, I'm going to give a real quick recap of it for you. We had some wonderful soups, and that's available lunch and dinner. Great, great appetizers, especially that cheese board, folks. Don't forget that cheese board. And you can have that at lunch or dinner, great for the table. We said about soups, salads, wonderful salads. Lunchtime, some great sandwiches, and a special plate today. That could be one of the dinner plates for the entrees or one of the special ones that he doesn't do. We've just gone through the great dinner entrees. We've gone from seafood bouillabaisse to shrimp jacqueline, a wonderful Latin roasted pork, and we've talked about his rotisserie chicken, ossobuco for the Italian fans. So we've really covered a great gamut of food. We want to come to the traditional end of a Spanish dish, and he does it right, but he also does it beyond right, and that is a real Spanish dish always ends with flan. What type of flan do we have here?
We have a coffee flan that I do. It's nice. It's got that. It's real moist. It's got that caramel. It's got a little vanilla extract and coffee flavor to it.
Okay, great. I had some the other day, and folks, it was really good. Flan, like I say, is really the light creme, and what a wonderful sweetness, but not overly sweet. And of course, he's doing the coffee flavor, so you combine it. So whether you drink a cup of coffee or like me, drink tea, you got that coffee flavor infused, into the flan. So what better way to finish, if you have room, a dessert, your meal, is to choose his flan. But I tell you what else he has, and this is, I'm kind of an ice cream fanatic. He had a couple of sorbets and ice cream on the menu. The first one was, well, I'm going to let you tell me. Tell me about one of those ice creams.
We have a Bordeaux and cherry ice cream. We also have a cappuccino and chip ice cream. And occasionally, I do also a special dessert. We do a tiramisu, which is mascarpone, cheese, and it's like a Napoleon with sponge cake soaked in Kahlua, rum, and coffee. And then we do mascarpone cream in the center, and then we do layers and sprinkle some chocolate powder.
Of course, what's happened is Americans, are not only geared to being overweight like myself, but also being interested in sweets. They really got to have a lot of sweet. So that traditional Italian dish, which is really not overly sweet. It's more flavored with the coffee flavored, but the light foamy taste. Mm-hmm. A lot of the chefs here in America have taken it and put in so much sugar and sweets and other things added to it that have made it a completely different dish. It's very, very sweet. From what I'm hearing, and I'd like you to re-emphasize, you're talking about much more of the traditional lines. It's not that overly sweet tiramisu. Is that correct?
Right, yes.
Because tiramisu really starts with a cheese. The mascarpone is what you're talking about, and the coffee. So it's not going to be heavily sweet.
It's not. It's you can taste the flavor in the sponge cake with the Kahlua, like I said, rum and coffee, and then mascarpone cream. And it's not overly sweet, but you can taste the combination of the sponge cake and the filling, which is very nice.
Very, very nice. Well, again, he doesn't do a lot of desserts. He doesn't need to. He does them right. Great sorbets, wonderful choice on ice creams, which hopefully you got, that tiramisu, and of course his coffee flan. So any of those should be more than sufficient. But like I say, you may not need it. But it is the final touch to a really good Latin, especially a Latin meal, even though there's a lot of Italian dishes here as well. Now we need to talk about beverages. He's got his traditional, of course, soft drinks and teas for myself, and coffees, a cappuccino, I think you said. We'll talk about that. But what he's done here is, and so many of our new eclectic little bistro restaurants are letting you decide what kind of wine. And the important thing here, of course, because they're losing some revenue, and of course, that is a profit maker in many restaurants, is the beverage situation, the profit ratio, the margin on that wine. And since he's letting you bring your own wine here, he also is not charging you a corkage fee. So folks, that alone for the wine drinkers should certainly be an inducement, because too many of the restaurants have responded with, all right, you can bring your wine, that way we're not overcharging you, but we're going to charge you a corkage fee. We're going to charge you for opening and serving the wine. Now, we'll be glad, the staff here is more than happy to open the wine and serve it, or let you do it yourself. That's your business. But the key here is they're not bilking you for that service charge. So you can bring any caliber of wine you want for your meal, and you can have it without fear of there being extra service charge tacked onto it. So what a saving. That's good. So you're really paying for food and service only, not for your beverage. You couldn't get a better way to supplement your meal by bringing the wine of your choice. Anything else you want to say about that, Daniel, excuse me.
Well, about the wine thing, the reason we choose not to choose, because there's so many wine lists in the city of New Orleans who are overpriced, and I like to drink wine when I eat, especially with the kind of menu that we have at Daniel's. And I think if you just judge yourself to get the bottle of your favorite bottle, and I'm sure there's a dish on the menu that's going to complement that bottle of wine you're bringing in.
Okay, well, great. Now let's talk about, so there you go, folks. That's the philosophy. We have had other restaurateurs here. They each have poured out their philosophy with regard to wine. Our philosophy here is that wine is a supplement to meal. too many of our restaurants today where wine and dinners are led by the meal. They're going to give you different wines. That's the key. Well, if the wine is the leader in the meal, then you're really not enjoying the food, because enough of wine or any kind of alcoholic beverage, you know you're not going to taste the food as it truly should. So here they're giving you the choice. We'll supply whatever you want. You can drink whatever you want. But the key here, as we do everywhere, is the primary emphasis on the food. Now, did you want to say anything about your cappuccinos or coffees, anything like that?
Yes, I do. Also, to go on back on the desserts, we do have we have a tricolore sorbet, which is on lime, orange, and pineapple. It's a nice combination.
That's a very light, good flavor.
Yes, it's good for everyone. Light now that it's so hot out there, and if you want to have an assortment of appetizers and dinner, you get so full at the end. You can just have some sorbet, and that's a dish that's very light.
Okay, great. Okay, folks, well, we've been talking to Daniel TOBAR of Daniel's Restaurants. We're going to recap a little bit, and then we're going to head off and let our musical guest bring us out today. Daniel, we said, opened up the restaurant about a year ago, February, in Old Metairie. It's the most visible hideaway you've ever seen. You just got to go straight down Veterans, and there it is glaring out at you. But it's very subtle on the outside and very cute on the inside. As I mentioned, it's a small two dining rooms, one with a great little solarium on the front, which actually faces the street, and some trees outside for you to look. Very eclectic design, as you can see from some of the back here, some of the fabrics and the wall treatments are really, really cool. And then, of course, the major dining room and reception area. Specializing in Latin and Italian cuisine, we've gone the gamut from soups to appetizers to the salads and the sandwiches, and especially the day at lunch. Beautiful set of entrees and a great line, short line, but very impressive line of desserts. Plus, the advantage, once again, you bring your own wine for your party, or as many bottles as you want, and you don't have to pay for it. That's the key. So you can really make a great. The other night when I was there, about a week ago Friday, for the evening meal, had a lovely party next to us. I won't mention those names, but they were good friends of ours. It was great to see them, and they really enjoyed it. Had some friends in who transferred from Canada and were very impressed. I didn't get a chance to tell Danielle with the restaurant. So it's been gaining word of mouth, but we wanted to give as much help as we could to it, and we want you to go ahead and give it a try. Remember, lunch and dinner only. Lunch only Tuesday through Friday, dinner Monday through Saturday night. Okay, well, what we're going to do now is don't forget to look for us here on Restaurant Revue every other Saturday live at 3, tape show at 4:30, and repeated during the week on Wednesday and Fridays, where we feature new restaurants, new musical guests. Upcoming, watch on the next episode, we'll be going to the North Shore, featuring an old bed and breakfast, beautiful old home that has a great new restaurant called Patton's. We're going to be bringing them on, some new musical guests for you. Further down the road, Gamay Bistro, which is a few years old, brand new chef in there that's really changed it around, and really want to bring that to you. So look for us in the papers that I write for. Come on the website, give us some recommendations for musicians, for restaurants, anything you want. But main thing, folks, keep an eye out for us. Without further ado, again, we thank Daniel TOBAR of Daniel's Restaurant. We want to move to our musical guest, Eric DeSanto of Baton Rouge. And Eric, what are you going to take us out with?
This last song I'm going to do is called Not Today.
Not Today. Take it away.
Saw her today in the grocery store. Same old story, I'm sure you've heard it all before. Well, I didn't know what to say, so I just turned away. I saw her again in the parking lot. She said, "You look like someone that I almost forgot, like someone that I used to know." I said, "Oh no, I didn't need this today, and I couldn't get away. Well, I was doing just fine till I saw those familiar blue eyes. But not today. Oh no, not today. Well, I just stopped in for a six-pack and yesterday's paper. Man, it sure was good to see her. What the hell was I saying? She said, you sure look different in your cowboy boots with your cowboy hat. Texas really must be where it's at. I said it's okay, 'cause I didn't need this today, and I couldn't get away. Well, I was doing just fine till I saw those familiar blue eyes. But not today. Oh no, not today. That's when the conversation stopped. Just ran out of things to say. We just stood there and didn't say another word. She said, I gotta get going. I said, yeah, I've got a long drive. She said, if you're ever back in Baton Rouge, you should give me a call. It's no trouble at all. Know the number and it's still the same. And as she turned to leave, I heard myself say, come with me to Texas, just like I did 1,000 times before. And then she said, I didn't need this today, and I couldn't get away. Well, I was doing just fine till I saw your familiar blue eyes. But not today. Oh no, not today. I didn't need this today, yeah, yeah. Not today, not today, not today. Definitely not today. Any day but today.